And I think Sam Bankman-Fried were in the unit that was one floor above mine. So in terms of like the setting, it's a fairly decent chance that the room I'm describing is similar to where Diddy is. Yeah.
Sean Diddy Combs is currently serving a 50-month prison sentence for transporting women across state lines for illegal private encounters. But his greatest betrayal didn't come from the court or the FBI. It came from within his own home. As the world watched his fall from global icon to inmate, his sons were quietly planning their escape. They allegedly took with them not only the remnants of his fortune, but, according to insiders, the very legacy he built. Sources reveal that in the weeks leading up to his sentencing, Diddy warned his family that the FBI was closing in. That warning may have been prophetic. Within days, Christian and Justin Combs reportedly moved millions through offshore accounts and disappeared. Overseas, the same sons he once pleaded to be reunited with are now at the center of a scandal that threatens to destroy what remains of the Combs dynasty.
Anyway, I'm happy to go. So we think that's just absolutely inconsistent with the jury's verdict. I mean, the jury's verdict was resoundingly clear. There was no trafficking, there was no racketeering, everything was consensual, everything was adult, which is why he was convicted only of the offense. What we feel happened today was that the judge acted as a 13th juror, one that we did not choose, and that he second-guessed the jury's verdict.
Back in July 2025, after 8 grueling weeks of testimony, the jury found Sean Diddy Combs guilty on 2 counts of transporting individuals across state lines for illicit encounters under the Century-Old Man Act, although he was acquitted of the racketeering, charge that could have kept him in prison for life. The judge denied him bail. From his Brooklyn jail cell, Diddy penned a handwritten plea to the court, writing, "I lost my way. I have been humbled and broken to my core." The letter was meant to portray him as a father yearning to return home to his 7 children. But by the time it was mailed, sources claim those same children had already begun draining his accounts. The contradictions are staggering. In October 2024, 6 of Diddy's 7 children released a joint statement declaring, "We stand united, supporting you every step of the way." It was a public image of loyalty, yet insiders close to the family say that unity lasted less than a season. By January 2025, private bankers had reported an unusual transaction, $20 million quietly transferred offshore the day before sentencing. Investigators now believe that one of Diddy's sons initiated the transfer. The family's October display of solidarity had masked an internal war over a $400 million empire. While cameras captured emotional embraces in the courtroom, the true battle lines were being drawn between Diddy's mother, Janice, and his son, Christian.
So he put his hands on females, put his hands on producers, executives. That's just his. I guess that's what the whole name Bad Boy comes from. That people don't really understand. What is it? What is a bad boy? Why did he choose that name? Like he never really gave a clear definition of how he feels about that name. Not yet.
The fracture within the Combs family can be traced back to March 2024, when federal agents raided Diddy's properties in Los Angeles and Miami. The FBI seized digital devices, luxury vehicles, firearms, and financial ledgers linked to a network of shell companies. It wasn't just the law closing in. It was a clear signal to everyone inside Diddy's circle that the empire might soon collapse. According to a family source, that's when the panic began. Overnight, private assistants disappeared, corporate credit cards were frozen, and relatives demanded to know where the keys to Diddy's offshore vaults were kept. When news of the raids broke, Janice Combs publicly defended her son, dismissing the allegations as lies. But behind closed doors, she was already meeting with lawyers to find ways to secure his assets. Meanwhile, Christian had his own plan to seize control of the companies and accounts before prosecutors could freeze them. It's not hard to see why the family's internal conflict turned vicious. Diddy's empire, Bad Boy Records, clothing brands, real estate holdings, and lucrative beverage partnerships was built on control. Now that very control has become the weapon his heirs are using against one another. Christian's own record reveals how closely he mirrors his father's darker impulses. In late December 2022, while aboard a chartered yacht near Los Angeles, a steward filed a civil complaint accusing him of aggressive advances and unwanted touching. The lawsuit described a chaotic scene marked by intoxication and abuse of power, a pattern disturbingly similar to the allegations that would later bring down Diddy himself. The plaintiff even provided audio clips, allegedly recorded in the yacht studio, that she claimed captured Christian's voice during the encounter.
Just got this new audio from the Diddy trial, and it is pretty explosive. This is audio of a voicemail that Diddy left to the Jane Doe who's been testifying in this trial for the last couple days. And he sounds really annoyed. It's talking about her maybe giving him the silent treatment, and his response is, I got a busy life, I can't be dealing with your silent treatment, and we got to keep it moving. He said,
Justin Combs has faced his own set of allegations. A separate complaint filed in Los Angeles County accuses him of luring a woman to California under false pretenses, promising a television opportunity that never existed. Once there, she claims she was confined to a private residence and subjected to acts mirroring the same freak-off culture that prosecutors described during Diddy's own trial. Both father and sons have denied any wrongdoing, but the parallels are undeniable. Diddy built an empire on charisma and control, and now his sons allegedly use that same blueprint to dismantle it from within. As Diddy's legal team battles the federal case in New York, they are simultaneously fighting what insiders call a second prosecution, the one unfolding inside the family. Bank records reveal a pattern of transfers to accounts in the Cayman Islands, amounts small enough to evade immediate detection, yet large enough to drain what remains of Diddy's liquid wealth. Meanwhile, Janice Combs has filed motions through her legal team seeking administrative control over her son's companies, arguing that Christian's actions constitute financial misconduct. What's unfolding now is not just a legal crisis, but a family imploding in real time.
So it's just another form to silence a man, to humble a person. You know how sometimes you got to humble somebody?
You're right.
Yeah, I think he's being humbled right now, which it took a long time. It takes a long time to humble an arrogant person.
One former associate describes the tension as a real-life Godfather situation. Christian believes he is the rightful successor, while Janice insists that only she can preserve what remains until Diddy's release. Each side accuses the other of leaking stories to the press. And hanging over it all is Diddy's warning. The FBI is watching. According to two insiders, those words weren't just paranoia. Federal investigators reportedly flagged suspicious activity in the Combs family's accounts in the weeks following the March 2024 raids. Whether those funds were intended for legal defense or personal escape remains unclear. What can't be ignored is how quickly the family's public unity unraveled. As recently as autumn 2024, they appeared united before courthouse cameras. But by spring 2025, those same relatives were speaking only through lawyers. The revelation that Diddy had transferred part of his music rights in 2023 to an offshore entity added a new twist to the saga. His sons now refuse to disclose the beneficiary, citing confidentiality. The court has since issued subpoenas demanding full disclosure of the transaction, pressing to determine whether those rights were sold, hidden, or stolen.
I mean, inmates have procedures all the time. I mean, you have folks there with cancer, you have folks there with, serious other chronic diseases. And sometimes it does require individuals to have surgery even while they're on pretrial status. So,
at the center of it all lies one simple question, one that no one in the Combs family seems willing to answer. When Diddy warned his sons about the FBI, was he urging them to stay clean? Or warning them not to get caught? As prosecutors trace the missing millions, Diddy's legal team now finds itself trapped on two fronts, defending him against federal charges while preparing to sue his own children for embezzlement. Each new court filing exposes another contradiction, another lie, another betrayal. The fortune that once built a music empire has now become evidence in a family war, and the deeper investigators dig, the clearer it becomes that Diddy's greatest threat isn't the government, it's his own bloodline. Yet, behind every sealed motion and offshore account, one mystery remains unsolved. The $20 million transfer made the night before his sentencing in 2025 has never been fully traced. Federal records confirm it left a New York bank, but where it landed, or who controls it now, remains unknown. Sources suggest the trail leads to Europe, possibly Zurich or Monaco, where members of the Combs family were last spotted. Others believe the funds are part of a broader laundering chain tied back to Diddy's own business shell. For now, the money is missing, the family is fractured, and Diddy himself sits inside Fort Dix Correctional Facility, reportedly caught again with homemade prison brew made from sugar and fruit, an echo of the same self-destruction that put him there. What happens next may determine not only whether he regains his empire, but whether he has anything left at all to call his own.
So apparently Diddy's knee has been bothering him recently, so he reported it. At some point, it was decided that he needed medical care outside of the jail, so he was taken to a Brooklyn hospital.
Diddy's prison calls are filled with regret, but his family's actions show anything but remorse. From behind the walls of Fort Dix, he speaks of redemption, therapy, and rebuilding his faith. Meanwhile, his sons are spending his fortune as if it were an inheritance already claimed. The evidence is in plain sight. Photos have surfaced of Christian in Dubai, surrounded by luxury cars, and of Justin in Monaco, seen closing deals through contacts in the nightlife scene. The timing is striking. Every dollar spent seems to erase another fragment of their father's legacy. Sources close to the Combs' inner circle call it what it appears to be, a hostile takeover in slow motion. They're not just spending his money, they're rewriting his story. Insiders who have reviewed recent legal filings say that Christian and Justin's attorneys are positioning them as managing heirs, arguing that their father's conviction effectively voids his ownership of significant portions of the Combs business empire. If the court accepts that argument, control of Diddy's brands, music royalties, and global trademarks could transfer directly to his children. It's a strategy Diddy himself once used in the late 1990s to sideline former business partners. The irony isn't lost on anyone following the case. His sons are now using the very same tactics, corporate loopholes, offshore transfers, and discreet payoffs, to seize control of the empire he built.
He was responsible for Diddy's day-to-day life, so he is able to provide a lot of information about what that life was like. He goes into detail on extensive use.
Meanwhile, Diddy's mother, Janice, continues to play both sides. On television, she insists her son is not the monster the media portrays. Yet court records reveal that she has filed motions to freeze several of his accounts until ownership disputes are resolved. Legal analysts describe her actions as self-preservation, but former family friends call it what it is: power politics. Janice knows that if Christian gains full control, she'll lose any influence over the estate. What makes the situation even murkier is that her attorney, the same lawyer who issued the 2024 family statement defending Diddy, is now cooperating with prosecutors in tracing assets. It's not loyalty, it's survival. Christian's camp, meanwhile, has gone public through strategic leaks. His legal team argues that Diddy's conviction makes him unfit to manage his enterprises. Beneath the polished legal phrasing lies a ruthless message. They believe the Combs empire belongs to them. At the same time, Justin's attorneys have been operating quietly behind the scenes, reportedly negotiating settlements with women who accused him of misconduct in exchange for dropping civil claims. A former associate described it bluntly: they're sanitizing the record before taking over the family brand. The pattern is unmistakable, a page torn directly from Diddy's own playbook. Control the narrative. Buy silence. Protect the image at any cost.
Saw no way out other than doing what he told her to do. He had mentally controlled her. It's like a pimp. Diddy had pimp potential. He had her mind messed up where it controlled her.
While Diddy's sons build their own legal walls, his voice from prison tells a very different story. Recorded calls leaked to tabloids reveal a man oscillating between sorrow and fury. In one call, he reportedly pleaded with his family to remember who built this. In another, he warned, "Don't think I can't reach you." These are not official transcripts, but multiple outlets have confirmed that prison monitors flagged the conversations for their threatening undertones. What emerges is the desperation of a man who once controlled every headline, now forced to watch his empire crumble at the hands of the very people he raised. His public apology to Cassie Ventura, issued after the release of the 2016 assault video, portrayed a man seeking redemption. But in private, those who have spoken with him describe a tone far closer to vengeance than repentance.
And all Diddy had to say was, Your Honor, I will accept the Mann Act, but I feel like I was targeted by a weaponized Justice Department, and I now understand what President Trump was saying when he said that happened to him, because we have similar things that happen, and I appreciate what he was saying now. I didn't understand it then, but I understand it now.
You know, so in terms of like the setting, it's a fairly decent chance that the room I'm describing is similar to where Diddy is. Yeah.
Outside the prison walls, the storm surrounding Diddy only grows darker. More than 100 lawsuits now name him or his affiliated companies. Some date back decades. Others stem from events as recent as 2023. The claims range from assault to coercion to intimidation, and each new filing drains what remains of his fortune faster than the last. Among them are the high-profile 2020 Florida case involving a male producer, the civil complaint from Jane Doe alleging a weekend of confinement and abuse, and the ongoing federal investigation into alleged misconduct with underage individuals. Each case hangs over the Combs fortune like a time bomb waiting to explode. Every motion adds pressure. Every settlement siphons away another portion of the empire's dwindling reserves. What was once a financial powerhouse has turned into a feeding frenzy, with lawyers, plaintiffs, and creditors circling for what's left. As the chaos mounts, the family's infighting only accelerates the collapse. Christian has reportedly withdrawn $8 million from an overseas account to acquire properties in Dubai and London. Funds prosecutors suspect may belong to Diddy's frozen holdings. Justin has vanished from public view, but insiders claim he's been quietly meeting with former Bad Boy Records investors, promising to rebrand the family name once his father's legal turmoil ends. What they're building, however, looks less like a revival and more like an erasure. Even Janice's loyalty now appears conditional. After years of defending her son, she is allegedly negotiating with corporate trustees to ensure her grandchildren retain access to royalties from Diddy's catalog. One former label executive says that Diddy's 2023 transfer of his music rights to an offshore entity has become the new battlefield. The sons refuse to reveal where those rights are held, while Janice demands their return to U.S. jurisdiction before the government intervenes. A subpoena ordering disclosure of those assets is already in play, and insiders predict that once the paperwork is unsealed, it will reveal just how much of Diddy's fortune has already been moved beyond reach.
I was very friendly with him. I got along with him great, and seemed like a nice guy. I didn't know him well. But when I ran for office, he was very hostile.
He said some not so nice things about you, sir.
Yeah, and it's hard. You know, like you, we're human beings.
Right.
And we don't like to have things cloud our judgment, right? But when you knew someone and you were fine, and then you run for office and he made some terrible statements. So
the next twist in this saga may be the most cynical of all. Sources within Diddy's extended circle claim that his sons are now leveraging his only remaining hope, a presidential pardon. Diddy has been quietly lobbying through political connections tied to former President Donald Trump, seeking clemency based on his past charitable work and claims of wrongful prosecution. But those same contacts are now reportedly communicating with Christian's representatives. The rumor, the brothers plan to present themselves as the future of the Combs brand, offering donations and endorsements in exchange for political favor. If true, it would mean they are trading their father's last lifeline for their own immunity. As Diddy sits in his cell reflecting on the empire that once defined hip-hop's golden era, the world outside seems to be rewriting his legacy without him. Imagine the scene. A man who once commanded presidents, moguls, and global stages, now powerless, watching his empire dissected in public filings and tabloid headlines. The music that once made him untouchable has become collateral in a family war. Every call he makes is monitored. Every dollar he earned is now a weapon turned against him. It's hard not to wonder how much of this was inevitable. Diddy built his kingdom on control, loyalty, and image. But those same pillars have now collapsed into rivalry, betrayal, and exposure. His sons have inherited his ambition, his instincts, and it seems his ruthlessness. Janice, the mother who once defended him through every controversy, now appears to be preparing for life after him. The empire that once symbolized power and luxury has become a battlefield of lawsuits, offshore ledgers, and broken trust. And perhaps that's the ultimate irony. Diddy spent decades turning controversy into currency, believing he could outmaneuver anyone. But in the end, his greatest threat wasn't the prosecutors, the journalists, or the endless lawsuits. It was the people who share his last name. The empire didn't crumble from the outside. It was dismantled from within, one wire transfer at a time. As the dust settles and the Combs fortune continues to vanish into anonymous accounts and silent partnerships, one question lingers in the air. When history looks back, will Sean "Diddy" Combs be remembered for the music that changed an industry, or for the family that sold it out? Until next time, stay alert, stay curious, and remember, every empire falls, but not every fall leaves survivors.